How those balls looking?
You know what season is, right?
I do indeed. It is time.
It is time for smooth sack summer. And how do I keep everything smooth, everything tidy, everything the way it should be?
Well, I don't know how you do, but I'll tell you how I do. Manscaped, buddy. You know how much we love the crop mops. You know how much we love the lawnmower, but they have the Performance Package 4.0 now.
They did a little upgrade to the Weed Whacker. Weed Whacker is, of course, the nose and ear hair trimmer. It is now the 2.0. And also, they are getting into the beard game. They've got their brand new beard trimmer, which is fantastic. So go to manscaped.com. Use the promo code BACONPOD, and that will give you 20% off and free shipping.
That's right. So don't forget to work on those testicles, your chesticles, and your cheeks. Keep them clean and ask yourself, what's your bacon? We both work for a nonprofit cancer foundation that his parents own.
Awesome.
Yeah. So he kind of runs it, and then I do AV and stuff like that for them for conferences and things like that.
Yeah.
So we travel around and do that stuff.
What's the name of the nonprofit?
It's NCAN. It's Neuroendocrine Cancer is the company, or is the cancer that they are raising awareness, and we do events all over the country.
MCAN Foundation.
Yeah, so that's how this whole thing kind of started. He built this studio for himself during COVID, and we were like, let's just operate as though we're one human, and
Yeah.
let's figure this all out. So
That's great. I love
Yeah.
it. So my full-time job is also in the nonprofit space now.
Oh, cool.
I was, like I said, coffee was the long-term thing for me that I did for a while, and I've always done audio, video production, media production. The band, like I said, the band was a one-time thing.
Right.
I thought it was going to be a one-time thing because I was just going to be the behind-the-scenes studio guy.
Right.
And right. So yeah, just over 3 years now. I've worked for a nonprofit, being their multimedia guy. So mostly video content that I produce. And
Cool. What's
going
what's the nonprofit?
1 year. 1 year for a nonprofit.
Yeah.
Similar shit.
He's running his. I took
That's
his job
fantastic.
when he took it over.
oh, hey, all right, there you go.
I went
Dude,
from
that's-
assistant to
That world, people, unless you work in it, you don't like. There's a. Yeah, I think my experience has been, it's really rewarding, but also nonprofit space relying on, donors
right.
is that's a grind. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm a media guy. I'm not a fundraising person. And,
Right.
there's a certain degree of that you have to have.
There's a
Yet you're
degree
fronting
where
a
they're
band.
like,
Yeah, it's exactly. So
well, and at the same time, it's like one of those things where it's like, cool, you do the media stuff. Guess what doesn't happen if we don't have those donors?
Right.
And you're like, oh,
Yeah. Nothing.
yeah,
Nothing matters if we don't have
you
that
have to have the media to get the donors, but you need the donors to do the media.
to justify the media. Yeah.
Exactly.
exactly,
Exactly, dude.
exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it's a cancer. You said NCAN. Is what it's called?
NCAN. Yeah.
Yeah.
NCAN. Okay, cool. We're
it's-
partnered with the
it's
band
his
is partnered
family's
with Music Beats Cancer. If
Oh,
you're familiar with
cool.
them or not.
Oh, okay,
So.
cool.
And that was near and dear to my heart. I was for years on the board of American Cancer Society for my county.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So man, it's cool.
Oh, nice. Yeah, man. We all got together because something sucks.
Exactly. Right? Like,
What's the worst thing in the world to bring people together?
yeah.
Bacon! Bacon is my podcast! Bacon! Bacon is my... Bacon! Bacon is my podcast! Bacon! Bacon is my...
We recently did a show. We do we still do a show where it's just kind of us having a conversation about something. It's called Discussions and Drinks. We just have a drink and we kind of talk about whatever happens. And we had one recently with a good friend of mine. Like, I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in Indiana, and with a friend of mine that is very rigid about his belief system and his thoughts and his value system and all that kind of stuff. And very often he and I will be at different ends of a spectrum, right? Yeah. And so we did a whole episode of like, okay, how do we approach a conversation? You know, when you have that ideological difference and when you have that, and it's important to like, we just talked about how important context was and how important that whole like, and that I'll go back to my like zooming out is and be like, okay, I can be really mad at you for this thing you just said. Yeah. But if I zoom out, I still know what kind of person you are.
Right.
And we can, okay, so we need to talk more about this thing. And we need to talk about it from the perspective of, all right, let's zoom out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's a book called I
tricky.
Think You're Wrong, But I'm Listening.
Yes, I know that book, yeah.
Yeah. So it was written by two friends, went to college together, long-term friends. They kind of fell apart. They drifted apart post-college. They're both lawyers, both very educated people, both, have a heart for serving other people. But one of them, straight ticket Republican.
Right.
The other one, very liberal Democrat.
Right.
And when they reconnected as adults on social media, they were always going at it, and they went, okay, stop. We got to zoom out, right? Yep. And so they wrote this book together. Wow. Yeah, I got to see them last year. They were in Grand Rapids at Calvin University. They did they're part of their January series. They have a thing called January. They bring in different speakers from across the U.S. and talk about social issues. And one of them had COVID, and so they were live streamed in from their hotel room where they were isolating.
Okay.
Yeah. That's it's hard to do. That's the harder option, I think, is to go, well, let's actually see what's at the bottom of this. And it's so easy to just shut off, Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's so easy to just kind of surround yourself with like-minded.
Oh yeah, we love echo chambers. Right?
Yeah, and it feels comfortable. It feels good. You can have conversations with people, and you'd be like, yeah, and you get affirmation, and you get backed up, and you're doing it for each other. Yeah. But it's a different thing when you're kind of like, okay, whether you're in a band, you're performing for everybody, right? Yeah. You're doing a podcast, you're performing for everybody. You can decide not to. You can decide to just kind of really hone in on one thing, and that's probably a smarter business decision, to be honest. It probably works in your benefit if you niche out, but it doesn't feel like you're I don't know, like for me, songwriting and becoming a songwriter and performing has always been about communication.
Yes.
And it's always been about like learning as much as it was about getting whatever is in me out, So there's that aspect of like, okay, I need to talk, but I need to listen, because if I don't listen, I'm not learning anything new, and then I have nothing else to talk about later. And so that whole thing of being like, all right, let's zoom out, let's see where we're both out, and let's communicate, because we have to live together. We have to be around each other, and we have to, and we can.
By the way, till you guys, like, we came here and did the episode, I didn't realize that you lived together, and you were doing this while you were living together too. Because like, I had known him, his buddy, from just like Facebook posts and stuff.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Which could get a little dicey.
Great way to get some, because right? Like,
right?
Have a very one-dimensional.
And
it's one way.
And
it's one way.
quite frankly, like I had seen some of the Facebook posts and stuff, and I was just kind of like, oh man, no,
You like this guy?
nope, nope.
Yeah.
I can't deal with that stuff. And then like, honestly, we said, like, he told me, oh, listen, Mike's coming, this and that. I was like, all right, fine. Then what we're gonna do the episode on is
Right.
opposing opinions and how you can still be friends. And
We didn't give any of the opinions.
no, we gave
Yeah.
zero
It was just,
opinions.
how do you
Who
approach
gave-
a conversation?
Who thought what opinion?
How do I approach a
Although, like, I'm
conversation?
pretty sure people get where our opinions come from. But like,
yeah, we're pretty
at the same time,
transparent.
it was just like, yeah. I mean, it was interesting, and it was like, okay, well, I appreciate that finally somebody can kind of like be like, yeah, but it's important to
Right.
to be open-minded, to be
Well,
willing to discuss things.
People also walk through life thinking that the other side, from whatever side they're on, is like
Wrong all the time.
Well, not only wrong, but that they can't possibly be the type of person that's like them that would have
Yeah.
a conversation and they think if you're opposed to me, you're totally closed off and you're totally this and you're totally that.
Unreachable.
Right, exactly. And it's like, well, if you're thinking that and they're thinking that and nobody's trying, then that's the problem.
Oh yeah,
That's-
self-fulfilling prophecy at that point, right?
Right? Yeah.
Right.
Then,
Without
then
any
you're
kind of engagement.
exactly. Exactly. So yeah, that's a weird tangent.
Yeah.
That's a weird tangent.
Well, I feel like now, with this is going to be like the longest intro ever, and it's
Right.
going to be great.
Oh, we're
but
in the
now-
episode. We're
But
totally
now,
in.
I do want to let everybody know that Welcome to Bacon's my podcast.
Right.
He is Jimmy, I am Mike, and we are here
And this is
with
Jacob.
lead singer and the guitar player of American Hotel System, Jacob.
The American Hotel System, because there's only one.
There is only
That's right. There can
There
be
can only be
one.
one.
There can't-
Yes.
yes.
Jacob, thank you for hanging out with us, dude.
Oh,
I'm
thank
excited.
you.
I'm excited to pick your brain about a lot of things. I was listening. We were talking.
Some
earlier.
of that'll be in also. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that wasn't all just worthless. That was
Right. No, something I did want to like pick your brain about is
Yeah.
because, as I told you before we started this whole shebang, I listened pretty intently to a podcast you were on that happens to be sponsored by Madcap Coffee, and
Yes.
it's where you got your start with coffee and learning about coffee and
and
Oh,
Matt
talked
yeah.
about
is friends with our buddies from Grill Your Ass Off. So
Yes.
it
it all turns
It all
all
connects.
comes together.
all connects.
But yeah, you were talking about your journey to appreciating black coffee.
Yes.
And
You guys are psychos.
yeah, right. No, he doesn't like it. He's
the-
like he's
That's all right.
been here longer than we have.
Yeah.
And he's just like, no, you can't.
He's
I-
been here longer than we have.
Yeah. I'm just trying to
What
to
a
nicely say
what a
you're way older.
what a dick.
Well, he's way younger than I am, and obviously, you've been here longer than I have, and so, but he just his palate hasn't evolved.
Okay.
So I want you to retell. Like I usually don't like telling people to like tell the same stories on
Yeah.
our podcast.
Yeah.
But tell me how you went from going from like incredibly sweet, super sugary coffee. He
Yeah.
did like an already sweet coffee and then put like 6 sugar packets in it.
Okay. Okay.
To
I
black.
bet you if I sat with Jacob, he would zoom out. And
He would.
he would speak to me about why I can try things, and we would walk through it together. Unlike
Yeah.
unlike this.
well, you know what?
Like this.
If I had a book to tell me how to do so,
yes, Jacob, please
Maybe.
walk us through it.
if I was important
Absolutely.
enough, you know.
So, a large part of my job at the last cafe I was employed at was education. And I think when you're a barista working in the specialty coffee space, and let me define that first. When I say specialty coffee space, I don't mean a chain. There's an argument to be made that Starbucks is specialty coffee. If you want to say that, okay.
At one point.
It was at one point.
Yeah.
It's considered very second wave, in my opinion. So first wave of coffee is commodity, right? So think Folgers, Maxwell House, chock full of nuts, 8 o'clock, whatever,
Okay.
Sanka. If you want to go, think of, that's
Bustelo.
commodity coffee. Yeah, Bustelo. That's right.
That stuff will
Cuban-
put some hair on your chest.
I forgot
Yeah, that's
Sanka
a
existed.
Cuban instant coffee. So that's first wave. So very commodified, low quality, greatest yield for the cheapest price and highest profit. Then you have the second wave coffee, which is what we think of like coffee shop. Coffee as a destination, a place where people go to have a coffee beverage, maybe diner, it has some food, cafe type thing. And then the third wave of coffee has a focus on farm to cup. So in the same way that a high-end restaurant might focus on farm to table, specialty coffee, third wave coffee would focus on seed to cup. So we're not just looking at the presentation of the final beverage, the barista who is making it, who's dialed in the shot. We're also looking at the product itself, the farm it came from, the processing method, the roasting, right, of it. Before that, the processing method at origin, the elevation, those types of things, where it was grown, how it was produced, water irrigation, all these things, and really putting an emphasis on the farmer who grew the product and what they did to make that product the best it could. And then everybody from there, everybody in the chain, the people who pick the seeds, well, the people who pick the cherries, because coffee is a fruit.
Right.
It's a cherry on this plant. And what we drink is the seeds of this cherry. People who pick the cherry, the people who pulp the cherry, who then process the seeds, who load the seeds up, the people who transport the raw seeds, the people in the U.S. who import it, all those hands in that process. And then you bring it to me in a cafe setting, and therefore my job as a barista, I feel, is to present that product in such a way that has reverence for all of the hands that were in the process to bring it to the guest. And therefore my job is to present it in the most excellent way possible that maintains the integrity of the product. That's what third wave specialty coffee is to me. It's not just a commodity. It's not just something that we go and take as a product and receive and we pay money for, and we enjoy it. It's a big picture that's really focused on community. A lot of the organizations that exist, you'll see events. It's all about bringing people together and exemplifying the community and the process behind it. Specialty Coffee Association, they host the World Coffee Champs every year. Look it up if you ever get the chance. There's a great documentary called Barista. Follows the 2015 U.S. Barista Championship, and then the sequel Baristas follows the 2017 World Barista Championship. At that level, the focus needs to be on all of the hands. Anyway, for me, my idea of coffee was a percolator, right? Like my grandparents' percolator with Maxwell House and Cremora powdered creamer.
I had the same. Yes.
Fun fact.
That's how I was introduced to coffee.
There was a great Mythbusters episode where they made a whole bunch of creamer, powdered creamer, explode.
Yes.
Because,
Super flammable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredibly fun.
Yeah.
But very.
That was my idea of coffee for years. Not not something that's enjoyable to me. I think a great majority of people would agree with that.
Yeah, it was like bitter, gross. It was like,
Yeah,
this is- old people drink this and their breath smells like it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's hot.
Yes.
It's way too hot. A lot of home coffee makers just make the water way too hot,
Burn it.
scald whatever flavor was there, right?
A lot of burnt
that was my
coffee.
idea of coffee. I came to college. Now, the summer before I was at college, I was doing music at a summer camp, and there was a community. There was a speaker there who was talking about the importance of community. And he said something that changed my life, really. He said, where there is coffee, there is community. And where there's community, there's the opportunity to impact people's lives for the better.
Oh.
I didn't understand what he meant necessarily. I grew up with a grandmother who ran the funeral luncheons for our church. So I was the cute little coffee kid that had the thing of coffee, and I'd refill people's coffee for them at funeral dinners, right? And I noticed there was a community aspect to it, but I didn't really get it. Flash forward to college, orientation week, our orientation leader challenged us to meet 5 new people a day. Very small private Bible college that we went to, about 300 traditional students on campus, so not very big at all. Online program's massive, but in person, not so much. 5 new people a day. I said, he didn't mean that literally, but I took it literally,
Okay.
So I had my list every day, and I noticed the place to meet people was the cafe that was on campus, the campus coffee shop, which was called Kahawa Cafe, which Kahawa is coffee in Swahili, cafe is coffee in Italian, so it was called Coffee.
Yeah,
Yep.
coffee.
That's fun. And I would get a drink called the City by the Bay. It was a white chocolate caramel latte with, I would get extra pumps of each syrup. And then, as he was saying, I would add sugar packets afterwards.
Sounds delicious. Sounds sweet.
I got it iced to mask the flavor of the espresso even more. And I would power through it. But I wanted to meet people, so I would offer to buy them coffee, and I had to have a coffee with it, right? So
Right.
I was spending way too much money on. I was 17 when I was a freshman in college. And my mom
man, you
texted
gotta
me
do
one
what you
day.
gotta
She
do.
was like,
Right.
she was like, "What? Why'd you spend $35 at the cafe yesterday?" And I said, "Well, I was buying other people coffee." And she said, "They can pay for their own coffee. You're 17, right?"
Not if I want to meet him. Not if I want to meet him.
Yeah. So my goal was to add less sugar each time. I'm not sure exactly why, but I just felt like I don't want to be seen as like the sugary. I had a friend who'd be like, "Oh yeah, you're girly coffee." And I'm like, "Hey man, I'm not at least trying to not choking every time."
I'm going to make
swallow
sure
it."
that I don't taste the coffee in this coffee.
Yes. Yeah. I wanted a dessert beverage that had coffee in it.
Which
I want a melted milkshake. I want a melted
Yeah.
milkshake. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Time out. We've got all these awesome sponsors here.
Right.
Where can they find all the information out for that?
Oh, if only there was a place. If there was only
A portal,
a hub,
a central hub to
a
do so.
central location.
I think there is.
Do we have the technology?
Yes. Baconismypodcast.com is where you can find the best deals on all of our awesome sponsors, including Drink Wild Bills, Pod Decks, Manscaped, all of them. Go over there, find their promo codes. You always get the best deals. But what else can you get over there?
Well, not only can you get the best deals, and we'll always keep those up to date, you can also help out the show by grabbing some t-shirts, some swag. Jump over to the Bacon is My Fashion section. Yeah, there's a whole section. It's just there for you. It's there for you. You can check it out. We have nice t-shirts. They don't chafe. They're nice to the nips. I like that.
Jimmy's
You know
all
I
about
like
his
that.
nice to the nips.
I'm like the
shirts.
Drax of this show.
Exactly.
I got sensitive nipples, man. I got sensitive
fine.
nipples. If you have sensitive nipples, check that out. And you know what? How about your ear holes? You want to take care of those ear holes? Because you can find links to all of our episodes. How about your eyeballs? You want those eyeballs? You can find links to our YouTube, Strangerhood TV. You can check out everything right from baconismypodcast.com. It's easy. It's super simple. It's right there. What's your bacon?
I will say that when you go to this site, that will be your new bacon.
That will be your new bacon. Check it out.
So I, a few weeks into that, my friend took me to Art Prize in downtown Grand Rapids, which is the largest open art competition in the world. Tons of people come from all over the country to downtown Grand Rapids, and I'd never experienced it before. We went to the Grand Rapids Art Museum, and right across the street is Madcap Coffee, which is one of the best coffee shops in the United States, if not the world. One of the best roasters in the United States, hands down. I was in Seattle a few years ago, and I went into a cafe there. Seattle, known for their coffee. That's right. It was on my honeymoon, which is what the song was named after. And I walk into this cafe, and on the shelf is Madcap. And I went, that's hilarious. I came here to try the coffee, and you just have coffee from my hometown. So my friend was like, hey, Madcap's across the street, want to swing in? I said, oh, I've never been there before. And he was like, oh, you've never been to Madcap? Like, we have to go. And I walked in, and I looked at the menu, which is somebody who was used to a white chocolate caramel latte.
Right.
I went, what's a cortado?
Right.
Macchiato, cappuccino. I've heard of a cappuccino machine at a gas station. I said, I don't know what to get, man. Like, what the heck? Like, he said, okay, just get a mocha that has chocolate. And I went, okay, it's like a chocolate latte. And they use like a single origin Tanzanian cocoa powder, really high end stuff. It doesn't taste like, it's not like eating a Hershey bar, right? It's
right.
it's good.
This doesn't taste like chocolate.
Yeah.
Your high end chocolate.
And it was $4.75. And I went, whoa, this better be good. And even if I hate it, I'm going to finish the whole thing. And I got it, and I'd never seen latte art before, and I was like, wow, latte. I sent a picture to my mom, look, latte art, wow. Same thing everybody does the first time they see it, right?
Right.
And I smelled it, and it smelled so good. Like, the cafe just smelled amazing, and it was beautiful. And I sat at the table, and I was so ready, and I went to take a drink, and I hated it. It was bitter,
like chocolate at all.
But I'd never had good espresso before, and it was a shock. It was a shock to my palate.
Right.
But it was $4.75, so I was going to drink every drop.
Yeah.
And so I drank it, and as I was drinking it, I looked around, and there was a couple playing chess. There was somebody reading a book. There were people. There was an art installation in the cafe. They were looking at the art for Art Prize. It was fall, so it was beautiful outside, and you can see Madcap's on the corner of two major streets in Grand Rapids, and so you can see all these beautiful old buildings and the skyline in the city. And I was sitting there with my friends, and it just like clicked for me. I went, oh man, this is so much more than just a quick pick me up. I need caffeine. Right. I need to start the day. This is so much more than that. This is craft, right? The intersection of art and science is craft. This is community, and I understood what that speaker said. Where there is coffee, there's community, and I was hooked. After that, I bought another one to go. So the price didn't bother me that much.
Well,
I bought another one to go.
At what point during that did you go from this is about community and people getting together and me drinking this drink I don't enjoy while people are together, and going to I actually enjoy this drink?
Yeah.
Versus
so by the end of that first experience,
the thing is cool.
Yeah. Well, so the thing I was attracted to, right? I was attracted to the thing.
Yeah.
But by the end of that first drink, I did like it. I was like, oh, you know what? I've never had anything that tastes like this before. And it's unique. And once I got past like the shock of the espresso, I went, oh, actually, there's complexity here. It's the milk texture. It's the quality of the ingredients. You can taste it. It was still a very long process of, learning, training your palate, and that's a learned thing. Tasting is not just something that you can just do. You have to develop a palate.
Sure.
You have to understand the lexicon. There's a huge learning curve to that. But you don't have to know those things to appreciate it.
Yeah.
So I went home that night, and my friend who took me actually worked at the cafe on campus, and I was fascinated by the process of making it. I'd never seen it be made. I'd never seen like espresso being made before. I was like, what's that? He's like, oh, it's a portafilter. What's the grinder and the tamping thing? What's that? Like what? I was fascinated. He let me come around the bar and watch him. And I remember opening my laptop that night and sitting at the coffee shop on campus was open until like 11 p.m. And I sat at the bar and I watched a video on my laptop from like Chef Steps. They had a whole series about espresso. This is before the YouTube coffee culture was big.
Right.
Like there's a huge culture around it now. It wasn't a thing then. Like it was a very niche, 10 years ago, not a huge thing.
Right.
And I was just obsessed with the process. And the next day I had my friend who had a car, drove me to the grocery store to buy a French press and a blade grinder, and I wanted to make it myself. And I'm always chasing, and every coffee person I know is like this. We're always chasing better extraction. We're always chasing a better cup. It's very science-based, measurement-based. We weigh everything. There's a guy I watch that he talks about. It's to the point. It's so ridiculous now. The trends within espresso. Right. We're talking like the big thing this year has been taking a frozen stainless steel ball and setting it over. There's like a stand you can put it on. And as the espresso pulls, it's supposed to hit the frozen ball, and that's supposed to lock in any of the what I'm looking for, the soluble flavors that will dissipate unless they're flash cool. It is. Take coffee, people. They will take something. It's like putting in a light bulb.
That only works for a small period of time because that frozen ball is no longer frozen.
That's right.
It's seconds in.
Right.
It's
We've tried
very
those.
Complicated, So it's it's fun. It's a hobby, and it's something that really gripped my soul and has been a huge part of my life. I think it's a thing you have to experience with somebody who's passionate about it.
I agree.
If you do that, it's a different experience. One of my favorite things working behind the bar was when people would come in and go. There was a guy. He came in one of my last shifts actually, which is funny. And he said, "I've never had espresso ever, and I've wanted to try it, but I'm afraid. I don't like coffee. Can you help me? Walk me through this." And if somebody ever came up to me and said they had never had espresso before, I would make them one for free.
Right.
And I'd taste it with them, right? Like I pull 2 shots.
I was a bartender. I did that with shots.
Oh, yeah, exactly, right?
I was like, you've never had whiskey?
Let me give you one,
Let's do this. Let's do the taste test.
Experience.
Let's try a few.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're facilitating experience.
Yeah.
So I walked the guy through. I talked to him about the process, about extraction theory.
Yeah.
And I pulled the shot and I said, okay, when you taste this, you're not just going to throw it back or whatever. Take a sip, coat your tongue. It's going to be a shock if you've never had it. It's going to be like super bitter. but cover your whole tongue. And then the second sip, you're gonna adjust to the temperature. And then the third one, you take it back. Oh, then you can maybe taste some of the sweetness because
right.
and here's have some sparkling water and like take that. And then, and it was a whole process. And I walked him through that. His wife came in the next day. She was a regular. And she was like, are you the one that gave my husband that espresso?
Is it you? Yeah.
And I said, yeah. She said, he came home and would not stop talking about it. It was such a cool experience for him.
Dude, that's so cool.
I was like, that's what I wanted it to be, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. So I hope I answered your question. If that's
yeah, no, my wife Jen is, and that's something that like we've talked about here a few times, is that I was talking about how she's a coffee chemist. Mm-hmm. I feel like this is like being a barista is something that she could probably get into if she wanted to, because she would literally just find different coffees and stuff and put scoops in and try different things and go, well, I put a little bit of this, but also some of this, and I put some cinnamon on it because I feel like this was a little bit bitter, so this would balance it out. And like, she's always been that way in the 13 years that we've been living together. She's always been that way, and it was the fact that her coffee was really, really good that I started going, oh, well, I'll put a little bit less sugar in. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, oh, okay, I'm starting to taste things that I didn't taste before. And then all of a sudden my body goes, well, Dare doesn't love you. Go F yourself.
Right.
And I was like, all right, we love half and half in this house, so I'm going to start pulling back on that. Forget it. And then I was a black coffee drinker. That's just like,
wow,
like super easy, and but we order from a local place and we get different flavors and from areas that we want it from, and it's just kind of become a thing here.
Yeah, you're
Also,
still so super judgy on people that don't drink black coffee, that don't have that support system.
Oh, it's always about him, isn't it?
No. It's about you. I think what I think is cool, honestly, is I think that like the people that get into the creation of coffee are not unlike the people that become mixologists, right? They get into the creation of drinks.
There's overlap. A lot of the people I
Mm-hmm.
know who are into both. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I also think that the people that drink both, there's an overlap with the people that are into wines, right?
Yeah.
And
for sure.
And then I think then there's also this like the people that are just there to kind of like, I'm interested in what all this is about, but I'm not. I don't
get it.
I don't. Nor do I care. I don't want to. I don't want your dissertation, but like walk me through a little bit of it and explain to me what I'm doing, which again I think just furthers the community aspect of it, which is not unlike punk rock. Whereas,
Very much.
if you've been listening to a certain style of music and then you've got a friend that's like, yo, I want you to check out this Rancid record, right? And you put it on and you're like, the vocals are awful, and fucking like why are the guitars like this? Why is the mix like this? And you're like, no, let it coat your tongue.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like,
that's a great analogy.
Just appreciate, kind of like take it. Don't compare it to what you already know. Look at what's there. And then find the things, take the time to find what you like that's there. And once you do that, in anything, really, once you find the things that you like that are there, you become a soldier for that thing.
Yeah.
Because you appreciate what's really there, and when people don't see it immediately, you're like, no, you're just not seeing it. You're just not getting it. Don't judge right away, right? So you become that person that's like, slow down,
Yeah, right.
Let's get and I think that just kind of again fosters that community because it creates it creates a dialogue and it creates a communication. It creates a situation where someone can learn something from someone, and someone can teach something that they learned from someone else, and then someone that's above all that can see their creation moving forward.
Yeah.
And it just creates this whole synergy of like this thing that's getting bigger and that gets more appreciated and that gets more noticed, and by getting bigger, people are understanding and appreciating the smaller parts of it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense the way I said that?
Oh, definitely.
Which is what
CT,
which is what I really like about it, because I've definitely been the person. I'm a bartender. My bar brought in a mixologist, and I was like, "What is this douchebag?" Right? But they made a couple drinks, and I tried them, and I was like, "All right, that's pretty great."
Yeah.
Explain to me why you did this and why you did that. And it was super interesting and it was super cool. Now, granted, I was also of the mindset of, this is super cool and this is super interesting. This bar is busy. I'm never going to do any of this. Right? But it also made me appreciate
It was
it
a
on
learning experience
right,
for you.
and appreciate it on a different level. And I think to appreciate things on a different level, you have to be in a situation where you can slow down. And
Yeah.
the world we live in is so fast
Yeah.
that not enough people slow down. And when you find someone that is open to slowing down, you want to explain everything to them.
I worked at a
And-
shop where it was called Fast Coffee and Slow Coffee.
Yeah.
Fast was the batch brew that was ready to go. The slow was a pour over.
Oh, that makes
Oh, there
That
you
was
go.
the
total
menu
sense.
literally said that. Yeah,
That's great. Yeah. Because the slow, you get to talk to people.
exactly.
You go, all right, well, while this is happening, let's have a conversation.
Yep.
But that enhances the experience of what you're drinking. It enhances the experience. Just like when you go to a bar and you have a bartender that pays attention to you and you're talking to them. Yeah, maybe that's not... Maybe it's still a Bud Light, but it's the best Bud Light you ever drank because someone's taking the time to listen to you. You know, while you're drinking it. And so I think a lot of that coffee shop kind of aesthetic is that whole slow everything down and that community aspect of it, which is what we try to do with our music.
Yes.
It's from the conception of making it. You go to a show and people are waiting in line. They're bored. They're waiting in line. You want them to slow down. You want to put some headphones on them and go, hey, this is my band. Check it out.
Yeah.
You want people to be at your show. You want them to, okay, I know you're going to the bar to get a drink, but slow down. Listen to what I'm doing.
Before we get into, because I do want to change subjects that does play into that
Right.
quite a bit, like
Okay.
literally that direct story. So quick sidebar, quick guys, get in.
Yeah. All right.
So Becky, she does like a coffee festival. We're usually away, but talk to her about it. If you need a place to stay in
Really?
New York,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. But okay, so yeah,
Coffee
We're
Fest
not-
NYC, is that the one?
I don't know. I think
Which
so.
one? What did you just say? I'm sorry.
Coffee Fest NYC?
It might be. I don't know for sure, but you
That
know
sounds
what?
familiar,
You
but I'm
should
not sure.
you should ask Becky about it
I will.
because she knows about it.
Yeah.
Oh, she knows about it. Okay. But what you were saying about like community and like passing the headphones and stuff like that, I did want to switch gears real quick when it comes to music and stuff because I know you have stood outside many shows
Yes.
in New York City
Yes.
for a particular band
Many.
going, hey, can you like this dude is
Please listen.
grinded.
Please listen
This
to me.
guy has grinded
Right.
on so many levels. But he's stood outside and then enjoyed many a Switchfoot show.
Oh,
Ah,
yes.
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 And I know this about you, too. You're a Switch
Right.
And what's really cool to me is way back in the day, I was also a part of a band's the forums. Like like the band
Yes.
endorses a forum. They're not like a part of it, but they're like, these guys get it. All right, fine, we're gonna do that. So you were a part of that forum for Switchfoot.
Yeah.
Social media is alive. Bam, everything's gone.
Right.
This guy facilitated
Yeah.
the
Yes.
resurgence
Yes, he
of
did.
that forum, and I want to know how many New York City shows you have that this guy has probably been at, because
Probably been at.
this guy,
Oh, jeez.
like, I got to tell you, like, we talk about it all the time.
Switchfoot's so
like,
underrated. Can we just say
Oh,
that?
yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Switch-
Switchfoot
just say
is
that.
incredibly underrated,
Dude.
And they also have brought on, and you were saying, like,
So many great
all these great
records. Not songs, records.
but like up and coming bands that
Yep.
you have
Yep.
seen
Yep.
on Switchfoot tours.
Their openers
that
have been
were like,
great. Their
ugh.
That's how I
Um,
discovered Colony House and Tyson Motzenbacher.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, oh,
So like and so for me, before the forums thing was like imports and
right.
all that kind
right.
of it was imports. It was bootlegs. It was
yeah.
not imports. It
What are
was
they
Yes.
selling in Japan? Is what
Right.
is it? Because there's no imports from anywhere else. Let's be honest.
right.
What's the
And-
Japanese domestic?
Well, no. It was,
What
no,
happened at
it was
Budokan?
literally- I have in 1998 have purchased from a small mom and pop record store an import, which
Right.
was literally a dude standing in the middle of a arena.
No, that's a bootleg.
But they called
That's
it
not
an
an import.
No, they called it an import.
Where was it from? Chicago? That's not imported.
Right. No, you're right. You're completely right. But I did buy it
You're
because it was
in the United
labeled
States.
as
You can't
an
import from the United States.
But maybe they were from Budokan.
So, do you know that like the whole import thing started as a reaction to how big like Cheap Trick live from Budokan went?
Oh, really?
Really?
That was one of the first. There were imports and people were tape trading and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
Cheap Trick released that live from Budokan record, and people got super interested in like, I wonder if I can find live records from other play. And like
Wow.
Japan was such a huge market
Well, yeah, they were like
for
Heavy on
rock
that.
bands and rock shows
Yep.
that and they recorded so many of those live shows that you could find those, and you could find them at record shops, and you could find like they
Yeah.
would be imported from different places. But Live from Budokan was one of the biggest, like it was part of
Interesting.
ushering in that whole
yeah.
thing where it was like, let's get the Japanese import of
Yeah.
this band and this band.
Yeah. So what I want to ask you
I
about
also love Cheap Trick.
this. What I want to ask you about this is like, so you took it over, as a curator for this particular thing. Like, what has been the holy grail track, or holy
Oh,
grail
yes.
piece that you've gotten from, and like, dude, basically, so the way that I understand it is Switchfoot goes, okay, if we've released this anywhere in the world somehow, if we don't have it anywhere else, but like if it's not here, it's all yours.
We're allowed to post it. Yeah.
Right.
What is your like holy grail creme de la creme track or find that is
Right.
like that you hang on your hat?
And why is it Sabotage from New York City at the?
Yeah.
Because that was a killer show.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, you say that. I'm looking at signed, custom framed, signed Fading West poster on that
Oh,
wall
nice.
over there. So I was very
Sick.
active in the Switchfoot forums back in the day, and then one day they just poof disappeared. There was a fan site called Land of Broken Hearts that a woman named Gina ran. She did tons of exclusive stuff with them, and they had a rare song archive on this website. And then that website went offline. And then all of a sudden there were all these tracks, these rare tracks, different mixes, that you couldn't get anywhere. So there was a Facebook group, Switchfoot John Foreman fans on Facebook, that everyone went to. And then actually a few years later, the band attached it to their page as their official
Oh, cool.
group, which is really awesome,
Yeah.
I said, we've got to rebuild this archive. Like, I had most of it. I didn't have all of it, though. And so my friend Steven and I, 5 years ago now, I believe, almost 6, rebuilt this archive, and we have even more than that rare archive had, like way more than it had back in the day. And we have like their entire 2007 tour with Reliant K.
Mm-hmm.
We have their entire tour with Lifehouse from 2017.
Oh, nice.
That's on there.
I was at that show.
Yeah, yeah. I was at 2017. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That was Lifehouse's first tour in like a while.
Yeah, a while.
That was like the first time I saw Switchfoot.
No,
Oh,
2017.
Yeah.
2017.
Or no. Sorry, I was thinking 2007. I was
Yeah,
like,
it's
the
Reliant
first
K.
time I saw them was like 2007, 2008.
Yeah, man. So for years, the Holy Grail was an album called Etc., which that was just the name of the band. That was John and Tim Foreman when they were like 17 and 15, I believe, 18, 16, something like that. They were teenagers. They made like 200 copies on CD, and that's it. And if you had one, you were freely able to rip it and send it to somebody else. They just ask that you don't post it publicly. Totally understandable. I wouldn't want the record I made when I was 17 available to all my fans.
I
Right?
made a terrible one. Yeah.
Exactly. We all did. But it's a cool thing to have. So that was it for a while. I actually know somebody who found a copy at a Goodwill. And, man, greatest find ever. However,
Yeah.
after Etc., they were called Chin Up. This is right before they changed the name to Switchfoot. They were called Chin Up. And they recorded a demo with Charlie Peacock, who produced their first 3 records. They recorded this demo with him, and it was on tape. And I don't remember how many copies they made. Very, very, very few copies of this EP on tape. And they just found one last year in their studio, like the band. They didn't think one existed. And that for years has been the thing that everybody wanted to find, and we didn't think it was possible. We didn't think they existed. If it did exist, it wasn't digital. It was on tape. So, late last year, my friend and fellow our archive curator, Steven, was on Instagram, and he found a picture a guy had posted of his tape collection from high school, and it had a picture of the Chin Up EP.
Oh.
And so he DM'd him. The guy hadn't posted in like 3 years. So he DM'd him and said, hey, explained who he was, explained the archive and all that kind of stuff, and said, we have been looking for this. It is a holy grail, and it's lost media is what it is. Right?
Yeah.
If you see this, would it be possible at all for you to digitize it, or for us to pay for it to be digitized? Like, we were willing to pay for him to digitize it, just to archive it.
Of course.
A week later, the guy sends him a full, like, rip of the tape in WAV format.
Wow. That's awesome.
Oh, man. And so we actually haven't posted it yet. And I've been sitting on it for months and months and months. I keep forgetting about it. But it's a holy grail, and we have it. We have the artwork, like, scanned.
Oh, man. That's so
wow.
cool.
It was so neat. And it's really what it is mostly just demo versions of songs from their first record.
Right.
But there are 2 songs, I believe, that they didn't record
Okay.
on the record. So they're long lost B-sides that barely anyone's heard. So that's the Holy Grail, and I have it.
Wow.
And I don't want to just keep it for myself. We are going to be sharing it eventually, but I keep forgetting about it. So go ahead.
How did those early versions of the songs compare to what was released?
I mean, the release versions are obviously much better production-wise.
Well, of course, but I mean, like as far as structure-wise, what was going like?
Very similar.
Yeah.
They're a bit faster.
Okay.
I'm gonna assume they weren't recorded with a click.
Yeah.
It sounds very live session-y to me. There's 1 or 2 that are in a different key.
Okay.
And I understand why they changed the key center for the record. Really interesting though. It's the greatest find that we have. I also have some really cool B-sides. I was just sent a few months ago a B-side that's like fully produced that's never been released as far as I'm aware. And so we are not going to share that one because I'm not sure how it was acquired. You know, like the source. I'm not going to do that because I don't know if it's clear. But we have the band's blessing to post anything that they've ever released that is not available anymore. Mm-hmm. They did that with a lot of live, because they used to do their own bootlegs. You could get their own you could get their bootlegs after the show, and I love that. And it's a cool little thing to have the show you were at on record.
Yeah.
And a lot of those aren't posted anymore, so we're able to have those, and it's just this space for community to go, and people who are really into the band like me, who are super 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 fans. I think October will be my 28th or 29th show of theirs. Which that's a baby rookie number compared to many of the people that that I know, but also there's people who followed them for 25 years. So
that's incredible.
Sure.
Yeah, man, big fan of them. I could geek out about them all day. Huge inspirations.
What's up, guys? We got a little hint for you here, a little secret. How do you help the show? We've been asked. Here's a way to help the show. Check us out over at patreon.com/baconismypod. You can get lots of extra stuff.
Yeah, like additional shows, ad-free episodes, early episodes. Shoot. Every Sunday, we record our discussions and drinks live with our patrons.
Yeah, so you can have a drink with us while we do it. You can watch us cook things. You can watch us eat things. You can just support the show. And that helps us keep putting these out. It helps us just
keep the show free.
Keep the show free. So thank you guys so much for supporting all of you over on Patreon already. Our patrons, you guys are our lifeblood. Thank you guys so much. And if you want to help out the show and you want to jump on and you want to be part of that BIMP squad, jump over to patreon.com/baconismypod. Well, and so that's kind of one thing I wanted to get to, because I thought it was super interesting that like your guys' debut, the Sunken Truth debut, was preceded by like two, Volume 1 and Volume 2 of A Search For, which I think is just like the coolest thing ever.
Thank you, man.
I love that whole kind of like, I don't know, it's not only is it a great marketing thing, which it is, but it's also just kind of like a cool, like, hey, here we are right now. Here we are in this moment in time. Here we are in this moment in time. Everything's leading up to where we are here. Yeah, you might hear some of the same things. You're not going to hear everything, but you're going to hear a completed vision here, and you're going to hear the journey to that vision here. Like, how much did being a part of these bootlegs and early versions of songs and all that kind of stuff, how did that inform you on like, hey, I have an idea of how I want to release things?
Yeah. So another band, this is in a way opposite direction than Switchfoot.
Okay.
But another band that I really love and I've followed since they were brand new is the 1975.
Oh yeah.
And love those. I like hugely inspiring. Stylistically, nowhere near the kind of music that I make, but all of their records are completely different. Right? Like they're so diverse, very prolific. They're not afraid to try things, and their first 4 releases were just EPs, and then their debut record. Which, let's be honest, it wasn't their debut record because they were like 3 different bands before they were the 1975. I think their song "Robbers" has been recorded 3 or 4 times.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, like they were teenagers when they first recorded it. Right, but to see that evolution, hugely inspiring to me. Switchfoot, to be part of this community that has bootlegs, B-sides, demos, all that kind of stuff. As we make music now, I am always thinking about, and this might be, I think there could be ego with this if you did it the wrong way. But I'm thinking like, yo, wow, I want to safeguard these demos because someday someone might want to hear them. I might want to hear them, and I want to be able to look back and go, here's where I've been, not just where I am. We've talked about several times taking those first 2 EPs and that full length off of streaming. We've talked about it because it's not who we are anymore. But we decided against it because it shows where we've been and it shows how we've grown. In fact, the new record that we have coming out, of which Tripping in Seattle are singles from, we actually have 2 re-recorded songs from The Sunken Truth on it that have grown with us. Those things, being a fan, definitely has informed how I make music. It's actually it informs how I do merch. What merch items would I want? What special thing would I think would be super cool if my favorite bands did this thing? What would I want them to do? And so I try to help those things inform my decision making as a creator. For the first 2 singles this summer, we did postcards, like a postcard campaign, physical postcards that we mailed to an actual mailing list, and we signed every single one of them, and it had a message on the back, and it was just like a neat little thank you thing. It was marketing, but neither of them were just marketing. It was
marketing
thank you
and community
message
are hand in hand. They work together.
It was the last I think the first one said the last 18 months have been just a wild ride for us. From opening for Bon Jovi to winning Music Prize to now to making this new record. Winning prize money, being able to invest more than we thought we were going to be able to into a new record. It's just kind of been astonishing. Thank you for being part of this. And as we go forward, we want to give you a sneak preview of the first single that we've been pouring into. So those kinds of things definitely are informed by my fandom, my propensity for obsession. I'm a big Beatles fan too. Are either of you Beatles fans?
Come on.
I mean,
okay.
we're both musicians.
Would we play music if
right.
we, like, yeah.
Can't. Right.
So the remasters that Giles Martin has done in the last 6 years.
Yeah.
Wow, those super deluxe editions that have
incredible
4 discs of demos, outtakes, different versions. It's like the best of the anthology records from the 90s.
Right.
In one place. Sgt. Pepper, one of my favorite albums of all time. Okay, well, I want to be able to go back and listen to them, take 3, Billy Shears, take 2, or take 4, I want to be able to listen to that. The documentary on Apple.
Absolutely incredible.
Dude, to watch that, to see Get Back being written in real time. What?
That whole thing blew my mind because it was just such a I spent half the time being like, I shouldn't be seeing this.
Yeah.
right? And then like the other time, like I'm so glad I'm seeing that.
Yeah.
Right,
And
and then
to
the
see
rest
them
of the
joke
time
with
going
each other.
like, I suck.
It's the
Yes.
how the
I shouldn't be
sausage
doing
is
this.
made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the to see them joke with each other
Yeah,
as a band, you know, I think that album, you know, Let It Be, within the Beatles fandom, I say this like I've been part of the fandom for 60 years, but within the general consensus, I think for years was, oh, Let It Be, that was their last record, which it actually wasn't. They recorded it before Abbey Road.
right.
Oh, that's when they all hated each other. Well, no, they didn't.
really.
That was a
Yeah.
thriving time for them. And to see the footage that Peter Jackson got, like, come on, it's very inspiring. I think every musician I know who watched it went, yeah, I just want to make music with my friends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't walk
You
away
know?
from it not like it made me like my band more,
Yeah,
right? Like it
Yeah.
like you see it and you go like, these guys aren't so bad.
right.
I should be cooler. I should be cooler to everybody. Yeah. Like,
Yes. You know, and how special it is. And our producer, Jake Rye, he amazing guy. I mean, we're so blessed to have him in our lives, and to have been able to work with him and to call him friend. You know,
Yeah.
we've developed a relationship over the last 4 years. He was kind of aware of what we were doing. We put out our first record, and I know he listened to it and he really liked it. He started DMing us, and we had a meeting 4 years ago where he was like, "Hey, you know, I was really skeptical at first. I was like, what does he want? You know, like, who is this guy? I don't know him." I was on vacation. He DM'd me on vacation on my personal account and was like, "Hey man, I'm in Grand Rapids. You want to like get coffee or lunch or something?" And I was like, "Well, who is like, okay."
Right. And you're like, no, I
this is
just did this
weird.
band for one show.
Yeah, exactly. And we met, and he's just the sweetest guy who has such a heart for helping build up you to be the best you can be, and to serve the song and make the best song, the best record possible,
That's
to
awesome.
impact lives, man. Like, but he said to me the other day, we were texting, and he said, "You bands they're very fragile." And I mean, the fact that bands stay together for years is a miracle, you know? And I think about my friends. I mean, this is our 6th year, as a group. We played our first show on Samuel and I's last day of college. We weren't even a college band. Like, it was our last day of college. We played.
Wow.
That was it. And we're still all here, which to me is just a reminder that I just had a conversation the other day about this. We have core values as a band, and one of our core values is fun, which when we were developing our operating agreement, it was like the amount of businesses that don't put fun in there. They're like, "Oh, we removed fun from our core values," because how do you define it? And we defined this as we seek to foster experiences and expressions of joy, freedom, and happiness that move us emotionally and bond us relationally. And at the basis of all that we do is a friendship. You know, I was friends with all of these people before we ever said, "Hey, let's make a band." Right? We went to college together. Haley and I have been friends since we were like 14. And I think it really goes to show that with the community aspect of it, there's always a temptation, I think, to go too hard into the business aspect of it, to be like, this is a business, because it is a business. That's the reality of it, right?
Sure.
You
Yeah,
are
absolutely.
running a business. You have to worry about profit margins, overhead, expenses, all that kind of stuff. Tax write, it's a write-off. Come on, it's a write-off.
Right.
Like you have to worry
What's
about
our
that.
ROI?
Yeah, exactly. Can I get a cost per unit on that? Okay, I don't know. But I always say, you know what? When I was like 15, playing guitar in my bedroom, I didn't think to myself, "Oh man, I cannot wait to draft an operating agreement someday." No, you don't say that. You don't go, "Oh wow,
Right.
I can't wait to read, a performance clause."
Right.
No, you're not doing that. You want to do it to have fun. It's called playing. It's literally called playing music.
Absolutely.
So, at the basis of all that is this friendship, and watching the Beatles thing reminded me of that.
I think that's such a smart thing to. Well, it's smart, but it's also like it's so important to keep that in focus. And I think like it's really easy to lose that. I've definitely lost it throughout different times, and then gained it back, and then found it and lost it. And it's one of those things where you're just like, at the end of the day, like we're getting together with some friends and we're creating something out of nothing.
Yeah,
we're taking empty space.
There's a thing that
and then we're creating
didn't exist.
Something. Yeah, we're creating something together.
And now it exists.
That didn't exist
as a
before.
thing that people
now it
consume.
exists, and it might actually matter to somebody.
Yeah,
Right? Like that's a huge thing to begin with. So it's like, what's cooler than that? There's not really anything.
Not really.
Better than that. You know
getting a single DM from somebody who there was a girl who messaged us 2 or 3 years ago, who she was doing a report on domestic violence.
Okay.
But she had been affected by domestic violence, and we have a song called Lori's Song, which is on our first record, that I wrote about my mother being in an abusive marriage. Post my father died when I was a teenager, and my mom got remarried when I was in college, and it was a pretty rough situation. So I wrote this song for her. Never ever expecting it to be anything that we would play live consistently. That would be a thing we would record even. And we started playing it live, and people were like, "Oh yeah, are you going to record that?" I'm like, "Oh, I guess, sure." And we did, and it was in our set list rotation for a very long time. And it seemed like every single show there was at least one person who would come up and go, "Oh man." I mean, there was somebody who was in an abusive relationship who came to our show, heard that song, and then like a month later we got a DM from them on Facebook that was like, "Hey, I heard this song and I realized that like I was in a really dangerous situation, and I got myself out with my friend who was at that show."
That's
like
incredible.
I told her, and I was like, "Whoa, like that's so much bigger than anything I could hope to do on my own." Right. But like, doesn't that just speak to the power of music, right? Like this thing that, I can write in a bit of loneliness, or tripping, for example. I wrote that a few years ago after I had a mental breakdown, and it was in this moment of darkness and desperation that I wrote that, and then it comes out last month, and our guitar player got a text from his friend who was just in a very similar situation, and he heard the song. It came on his release radar, right?
Right.
He was listening to it on the way to work. He didn't even know we had a new song out, and he heard it, and he sent a text, and he was like, "Dude, I am weeping because that song is exactly how I feel right now." That is a mystery to me. It blows my mind that this thing, any song for that matter, starts with a little seed in somebody's brain. And the fact that all these different moving parts come together, different personalities, people, life experiences, whatever it might be, and the whole team that records the song and mixes and masters and delivers, and all the different parts of that, they coalesce together to have this thing that goes out and impacts somebody's life is just mind-blowing to me. And I hope that as we continue and hopefully continue to grow, right? That's the goal, right?
That's the goal of everything, yeah.
To stay on a trajectory of growth. I just hope that we can always be amazed by the miracle of song, right? Like songs are miracles.
Yeah.
How many steps they have to go to get made, and the fact that something can come to me and impact me sometimes years after it was written, that I can put on a record and find a record and hear a song and I'm like, I needed that song. Like, that is mind-blowing.
It's
That is
I
awesome.
love that you even brought that up. Like doing what we do, right? Like I always have these questions for songwriters because I'm a songwriter and I started writing songs, and I make this kind of like tongue-in-cheek kind of phrase to everyone, like I write songs so that I don't drive off a bridge.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And then you do that, and then you never really are ready for it when somebody else tells you that your song kept them from driving off a bridge.
Yeah.
Right? And so I always have this, and it's so funny, like, as you were talking about that, like, I was like, let me scroll up real quick to these things that I had, because I always have this, like, we have questions in case the interview or
Break
chat,
glass.
yeah, in case the
case.
chat doesn't kind of, like, go off on tangents, right? So we have these, like, emergency things, and one of my questions that I always ask songwriters is, one of them is always like, do you remember the first time that someone came to you and expressed to you that something you did meant to them what something someone else did meant to you? And what was that like for you? Because I remember that so distinctly for me. And it was such a powerful moment for me. And there have been, I've been like so lucky in my journey as a songwriter to have had a few experiences like that where people have kind of communicated that to me, or like tattooed a lyric or something like those type of things that in my brain I'm like, don't do that. But like, but still like mean more to me than anything else in the world. And then I also, from listening to your songs, I had a question that was like, I feel like a lot of music tackles mental health from the perspective of either the writer ourselves trying to help ourselves by writing it, or with that aim of reaching others. And I'm always interested in that, okay, where does the teeter-totter start to tip when you're writing? If you started writing about yourself, at what point do you start to feel like, oh, this isn't for me anymore? Or if you started writing in more of an abstract, at what point does it tip and go, oh, this is about me totally?
Yeah.
Right? So just even you coming up and explaining that on its own, like, immediately jumped into those kind of topics, which I love as a songwriter, because it just, I don't know, man, like, it hits me so hard when another songwriter talks about a moment that meant that to them, that blew them away, about somebody coming to them, because like I feel that so the imposter syndrome is strong at that point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Where you're just like, shut up. You know, like,
Yeah.
Right?
No.
Yeah. And then, but then that there's like imposter syndrome mixed with like responsibility, mixed with like incredible awe, and just this thankfulness that like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm in a position where I did something that did something for you.
Yes.
But I'm so glad that I was. And maybe you would have found this from somebody else, and maybe you would have got this from another song or whatever.
Yeah.
But the fact that this happened and you're sharing this with me changes. You just changed my life by telling me that I changed yours. You know,
exactly.
like those types of things, and they hit me so hard when I hear that stuff, that it's just like, because man, why do we do this? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
why?
We do this to save ourselves. We do this to get things out that we couldn't, and then the fact that it matters to anyone at all is incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
You know, I'm thinking about in 2020, we went from, and this is every band, obviously you guys experienced this, everybody experienced this.
Right.
We had 28 dates booked to support our record, and then it was a game of, will this show be canceled or not? You know,
2020.
like, yeah, you know, our friend's band, their tour, they changed the name to these shows will probably be canceled tour.
Right.
And they were, all of them.
And then they
every
were.
single one.
Yeah.
They had merch and everything. It was hilarious.
The We'll Get Back to You tour.
Yeah. So we were writing over Zoom. In middle school, the cool thing to do, middle school, high school, was Skype. And my friends and I would just have Skype chats open, like Skype calls just open for hours. We weren't doing anything together. Like I could be playing a game, or I could be whatever, working on a craft or something. And we would just be together, virtually. And I thought, well, why don't we do that with Zoom? Uh-huh. So I got a Zoom account, and I paid for like the premium whatever to have the unlimited time. And I would send a link, and I'd be like, hey guys, I'm getting on. I'll just be in my studio. Let's hang. And we would. And man, that was much needed in that time. Yeah. But we started writing songs together over Zoom. And in that time, there's three I think about in particular. So the first one I'll talk about is kind of riffing on you talking about at what point, if I start with a song that's for somebody else, does it become about me? Right. Or I start for myself and then I go, oh, this is for someone else. We have a song called Always Greener. And I wrote it because our guitar player, CT, and I worked at the same place. And he quit. It was a good move on his part. I should have, but I didn't. Right. He had more of a spine than I did. And I was so angry at him for leaving me. I was so mad. Right. And so I was
with me in this horrible situation.
Yeah. And I was burnt out.
Suffer together.
I was the only person in my workplace doing any kind of COVID precautions. And it was exhausting. And this was on the verge of a breakdown. And my wife one night said to me, so I wrote my friend's last shift. CT, a guitar player, my friend CT. Oh, he's in the band too.
Right.
So on his last shift, I pulled out my phone and I just wrote on a note. I wrote the opening verse of this song. Oh, the grass is always greener until you step out of the pasture, and then you'll find you're stuck inside another self-disaster. Like, I was just so angry at him, and this was meant to be like a jab. Later that week, I was talking to my wife. I was just complaining to my wife about how stressed I was, and she said, you need a break. Like, you need to slow down and take a break. And I was like, no, now hold on a second. I do not need a break. What are you talking about?
Don't you tell me.
Right. And so I went across the hall to my studio to write a song about how wrong she was. And and I pulled out that song, and I wrote verse 2. And it was about me and how right she was. Right. And I went, oh, yeah, this song's about me. I could point the finger
Right.
I think the last verse says, while I sit here pointing, I'll go ahead and join you.
Right.
Right. And that's just normally, I've said this before, my songs will start either in a place where I am frustrated and I'm writing it out as commentary, and then it always becomes self-reflective. Mm-hmm. Or I'm starting it because I'm in a dark place, and then that song is a testament to growth. And that's 99% of the songs I've ever written. I have hundreds of unrecorded songs, right? We all do if you're a songwriter.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
Lots of hard drives.
everybody's-
Lots of weird
everybody's
hard
voice-
drives all over the place.
Voice memos are insane.
I have a voice memo that I just recorded today because I had a melody pop in my head and I was driving down the expressway.
Yeah.
And as I was like, okay, I'm just going to go for it. I just need enough so I'm reminded.
Right.
You're snapping while you're steering.
And be like, that's kind of I always talk to it like I'm like, okay, it's kind of like this vibe.
Yes.
He's going from the song and then the
Right,
I'm like trying to the second thing I'm reminded of from 2020. I was working at a coffee shop. Not a lot of people were coming in to get coffee to go. So most of the time I would sit there for hours and just wait in the morning. And I was a shift lead there. And so me and the other shift lead still had jobs and everyone else got laid off. So it was super lonely, super crazy. When it got busy, it was awful.
Right.
But it was just kind of like, white knuckle on the steering wheel type thing.
Insanity
And then
for
when
an
it was-
hour, and then 4 hours
and then
of
nothing. So I was just so bitter from everything. I think everyone had that shared experience of like bitterness of doom scrolling every day, seeing what the flavor of the week is or the day for outrage, and just all these voices screaming for my attention to be angry at something. We had a professor in college that said bitterness is like drinking poison and expecting someone else to die.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean you go, oh, whoa, that's something. Bitterness is like drinking poison and expecting someone else to die.
Is it weird that I love that?
Oh, it's good, isn't it? Oh, it's so
That's
good.
so good.
And I don't know if he came up with it or if someone else. I don't know where that comes from, but he's the one who introduced that phrase to me. And I was sitting there reading whatever article it was, and I was just like, that popped in my head. I was reminded of that quote. And I went, dang it. I have been like gulping down the poison, right? So I closed that article and I pulled out a notebook and I wrote this little lullaby for myself called The Poison. Mm-hmm. And the whole thing came out in 15 minutes or whatever, the whole thing, which I think there's very few songs I have that are prolific like that. Most of them are like battles where it's like, I know what I want to say. I can hear it in my head, but I don't understand the words I'm singing sometimes.
Right.
But I know the message I'm trying to get across. So a lot of the times, like Tripping is one of those songs. Seattle, another one of the songs on the record that's not out yet that years it's been like wrestling with these to get them where they needed to be. But The Poison, I was
happens, man.
there it was, and I was so excited. I went, yes, that's a new song. I'm so excited to share it with everybody. And then that voice of doubt comes in, that inner critic. If you've read The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, The Resistance, the voice of resistance came in my head. And if you haven't read that book, I highly recommend checking it out.
I understand it. I haven't read it, but I understand exactly what I said.
You
Immediately.
hear the title and you go, oh, okay.
The resistance.
So the voice of resistance, that's the inner critic. That's the all the things that delay, the things that prevent you from doing what you are supposed to do. The gift you have that you've been given, it's the thing that tries to stop you because you're going to make a difference in somebody's life.
Right.
Well, that's not good. So resistance doesn't want that. So that voice popped in my head and went, dude, so what? Yeah, you wrote another song. So what? You're not going to be able to play it. Music's not happening right now. Give up, right? And
we're all the same.
Man,
the damn same.
Like
Right.
if I, and in that moment, that's when I was like, okay, if I do this for vanity, if I do this for temporary moments of glory, of 20,000 people at Gamebridge Fieldhouse,
Right.
doing the call and response to one of our songs,
Right.
at the biggest show of our lives. If I do it for those moments, those fleeting, vain, temporary moments, well, I'm going to be burnout. I'm going to feel like a failure all the time. I'm going to not want to do it. And that's not a very meaningful and fulfilled life, I think.
Because it only matters if you hit those moments.
Exactly. And that's my rubric, therefore, which is flawed. These mountaintop moments are so few and far in between. For like 99.9% of creators, right?
Yeah.
You have the top people who are selling out, every show they play. But that's
even that's
Oh, yeah.
temporary. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
and everyone goes home.
yep.
Tour's over.
Yep.
And
next year, someone else is in the place you were.
Someone else, exactly. So in that moment, I went, okay, why are we doing this? Because it's not for those things. Or I don't want it to be for those things. And I pulled out my notebook and I wrote another song called Nothing Is New. And that song is a testament to, and it's a reminder to us. We've had some incredible experiences, especially for a band our size. Some of the experiences we've had are just been unthinkable. Things if you would have told me 2 years ago that I'd be talking about them, I go, "You're crazy. That's not going to happen." But those aren't the moments that we do this for. We do it for, the person coming up and telling us, I needed to hear that song. The little kid who, this music festival we played a few weeks ago, there's a little girl who came up. Her parents brought her up to the security gate after our set, and she really wanted to talk to Haley, our drummer, because she's like 8 or 9, I think, and she wanted to play drums, but she didn't think she could because she's a girl.
Right.
And we're like, I'm like, Haley, come here.
Girl drummer.
Oh, dude, right? And we like jumped off the stage and went up and talked to her, and Haley had some drumsticks that she gave to her, and that was worth the whole trip, right? Like those little moments. That's why we do it, and it's easy to lose sight of that, but I'm grateful that we have a community who helps, and we have each other, a community of, the band itself is a community, to keep things in perspective, you know?
Yeah.
And to go, that's why you do it, man. That's worth the grind, I forget who it is. There's a video I just saw. It's called like the online hellscape of music promotion or something like that.
Right.
Sounds about right.
Right.
Yeah, he's talking about how you hear you're playing some Halo 3 and in 2007 and you hear a cool EDM song come on, a chill hop, whatever, and that inspires you to download Fruity Loops, and you get FL Studio and you make it, and you spend all this time, years, honing your craft and mixing everything just right and spending the money on production and songwriting and all this kind of stuff. And you get ready to release the song and you upload it to Submit Hub, and you send it to somebody and you get a response and they go, wow, this is some of the best songwriting I've heard in years. The mix is stellar. Your instrumentation is like just bombastic. And you're like, yes, this is my mountaintop moment, right? And then you finish the message and it says, but unfortunately, I didn't like the kick at 2 minutes and 8 seconds, so I'm going to pass on this one. Sorry. Like, we've all been
Yes.
there if you've done that,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Like you put so much weight into any. I want to say I'm so grateful for all of the playlisters who put our music on their playlist.
Of
and
course.
stuff.
Yeah.
But for everyone who's like, this is incredible, there are literally, maybe 30 or 40 more who are like, that snare hit at 3 minutes is like not doing it for me.
Right.
Like, and we let those types of things.
I was going to say, for all of you listening also,
Yeah.
if there are 1,000 people
Yeah.
that nothing but love it, the one message
Yep.
that says the snare hit at 2 minutes and 32 seconds near the end of your song is what made me hate you.
Yeah.
That is the thing that we will obsess
We
over.
will sit on forever.
Forever.
Because we are songwriters, because we are damaged.
Yes.
So we
Yeah.
are just waiting for someone to tell us, hey, everybody that's liked everything that you've done
They're wrong.
is wrong, and we know
Yeah.
it too.
Yeah.
Because of a
so,
snare.
so that you can go, I knew it!
Yeah. Yeah. But then he talks about how you get one positive comment and then it
Yeah.
all seems like it's worth it.
And then nothing else
Yeah.
matters.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. I think again, if the rubric for success or fulfillment is rooted in metrics, vanity metrics, whatever it might be, then that's going to lead to constant disappointment.
Yeah. You'll never.
And I get
you'll never
obsessed
make
over
it.
that stuff. Oh yeah, I get obsessed over that stuff because I love marketing.
Yep.
And I do all of our marketing. I do all of our graphic design. I mean, it's like that's just as important to me
Yep.
as the song itself. I love Jack White. Like that's why he's so
100%.
inspiring
Yeah,
to me,
yeah.
right? I mean, have either of you been to Third Man Records ever?
Yes.
No, I haven't yet.
It's the coolest place in the world.
yeah.
Even if you don't like the White Stripes or anybody that's on Third Man Records, you walk in and you go,
I've
"Oh,
done the
okay."
virtual tour.
Yeah, you're like, this is the coolest place in the world.
Yeah.
Everything's branded. Everything is the same color scheme.
Yep.
It's a world that he has crafted because to him the visuals are just everything that surrounds the music. I think he said everything that surrounds the music is just as important as the music itself. And I go, yes.
I agree. Yeah.
So like I'm every day, as soon as I wake up, I'm looking at the metrics. I'm looking at the numbers of, our listener retention rate. Spotify has the new active listener
Right.
feature on Spotify for
How long are you
artists.
listening? What are you?
Exactly. And it's really easy to lose sight of why you do it
Yeah.
for me because I can get way too obsessed with those things. But at the end of the day, we want to do this. Our mantra has been, do it for love, hope, community, and that's not going to fail us. Keep doing
Right.
what we're doing for those things, and those things are lasting.
100%.
Heck yeah.
100%.
I love
I will always write so that I don't drive off a bridge.
Yeah.
Yep.
I will always be happy if that means anything to anyone else.
Yep.
And I'll always be grateful to everyone that will deal with me and help me put out some art.
Yes.
Jacob, we've hung out for well over 2 hours now.
And
Yeah.
And it has
we
been
could do a lot more of this.
We didn't hit our emergency questions or anything.
No,
we
no.
haven't hit some of the facts that we could have hit.
Yeah.
But dude, you've been so much fun to talk to, so much fun to hang out
dude,
with.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
so much for hanging out. Before we sign off here, once again, please let everybody know where they can find everything the American Hotel System.
All right. Well, once again, the American Hotel System. We're a rock band from Grand Rapids, Michigan. If you like music that is heartfelt and lyrics that are deep, but also love electric guitar, our stuff might be right up your alley. If you've listened this far to over 2 hours of audio content and you haven't listened to us, that blows my mind.
Yeah, it's
so
weird.
Shame
that's
on
really
you.
cool. I appreciate you. I love you. our most active social media is Instagram. By far, Instagram.
I think that's everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like an art gallery for me. It's a graphic design thing that I can go in and have fun, right? I love that. Love the visual medium. I love the fact you can add music to your posts now.
Yeah.
Super cool. Second, we're also on Threads, since that seems to be
It's a new thing.
the thing now.
We're all
It's
doing
been
it.
like so-so.
We're figuring
It's
it
been
out.
so-so
Eh.
lately.
We had more followers on Threads in the first 24 hours than we've had on Twitter in 6 years. So,
Yeah. Oh.
weird.
Well, you're not really tweeters. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
You're not.
I'm not either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think our pinned tweet is we're probably on Instagram.
It's a forward.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
forwarding
It's a forward,
tweet.
yeah.
Yeah.
I went to your
pretty
Twitter
great.
and I was like, they don't tweet. All right.
No, I never got into it. I've never been a Twitter person. But Facebook is also very active for us. If you're still on Facebook, that is a great place to get like tour updates and stuff. We have a mailing list. If you do like actual physical mail,
They sent out postcards.
we like send some stuff, some cool little fun things, maybe some merch every now and then. So you can sign up on our website,
They have cool merch.
theamericanhotelsystem.com. We're on Bandcamp too. Our new project will not be on Bandcamp, but all of our old stuff is on there. So I would definitely say go and check that out. I'm really proud of a lot of the projects we have on there, and they're all a piece. They're all a piece of me and my soul as a songwriter. So
Well, and
if you like,
the fact that your new stuff is not on Bandcamp means that you're growing, which is awesome. Which is how
yeah,
it should
that's
be,
true.
Which is excellent.
That's true.
But
Yeah, I
still
knew-
appreciate the other stuff on Bandcamp
Oh, yeah.
because it goes
Yes.
directly to the artist.
yes.
Direct to artist is important.
Well, and also I will say, we were talking about a search for a sunken truth. You're not going to find that if you just go to their Spotify.
Right.
You literally have to go to the website
Yes.
and then go to it and then click on listen and then click on it, and it will take you to a place where you can listen to that stuff, which I think is awesome because it's like you're making people work for
You're
it.
invested.
And I'm for it. I'm here for it. So I recommend everybody does it.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, we have a new record coming out in November. When will this go live? It's a question.
This is gonna be.
this will be-
He'll tell you.
All right. I'm going to have to...
He'll tell you a date right away. But
Yeah.
while he looks for the date, I'll say that he's looking for the date. And
September 11th.
September 11th.
What a day. Okay.
What an interesting day. All
Sorry.
right.
So I can say this then. We have a new record coming out on November 17. It's called Can You Hear It? It's being published by Sono Music Group and distributed by Universal, which is
Fantastic.
mind-blowing to me.
Yep.
Super
Really
cool.
grateful for their support. Yeah, really proud of this record. It's years of a culmination of years of songwriting. These songs are unlike anything we've put out before. Thematically, it's a really great picture of where we've been in the last few years.
Yeah, man.
Awesome.
I'm excited for you guys to like start sharing it and hitting the road and all that stuff because we will be there.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out.
Yeah.
We're gonna announce some dates soon.
Yep.
Come back on and let us know when
Don't
things
hate
are
New
happening.
York. Just saying.
Yeah, don't hate New
on
York.
New York.
You know.
We'll even drive
I know.
to Jersey.
I know it's a weird
Yeah.
market.
It's cool.
It's a weird market. I get it. It's a weird market. We live here. We're in bands. It's
We're
a weird
bands.
market.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Well, hey, this is how heavily edited are these?
It's not.
Not.
So if you want to
Not
wait,
very edited.
wait until we end recording.
I'll wait till we end recording.
And
Then.
with
There we go.
yeah.
Hi-oh. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Jacob, thank you for joining
Thank you
us.
so
Yeah,
much.
dude.
You've
This has been
an
awesome.
honor.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You're going to be on again.
Yeah.
For
Oh.
sure.
100%.
One way or another.
Unless
we
you
have
hated it.
Unless you hated this.
Right, and then-
This was the worst. No, this was awesome, guys. Thank you so much.
If you say
I love
no,
the
then it will
questions. I really, really appreciate the questions.
Good. Awesome.
Cool.
Awesome.
So, we asked you at the promo segment
Yes.
we got to ask you again,
Right.
Yeah.
Jacob. What is your bacon?
What's your bacon, man?
What is my bacon? I'll say the same thing I said before.
Yeah.
My son, who is the reason I wake up every day. Such joy, such a lesson in patience, also. But such a lesson in love and unconditional love. And then the other thing is specialty coffee, as I mentioned before at the beginning, earlier in our conversation.
We only went
Such
like
an
a
important
half
part of
hour
my
on
life.
that.
Yeah.
I only talked about it a little bit. I like it a little bit.
You like it.
But I think at the heart of that is community.
Hell yeah.
Community.
Yeah.
Love that.
I think we drill down. I think that's where it is. And we also
Drill down, expand, drill down, expand. Exactly.
Yeah. Drill down,
Yeah.
expand. Community is also one of our bacons, I will say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you all for being a part of ours, and thank you for listening, and thank you for being here. Thank you so much for checking out the American Hotel system, for checking out the music, for checking out everything that we do. Thank you for being a part of our lives. And remember to ask yourselves every single day, what is that thing for you that makes your life better? What is that makes your day better? What is something you can focus on?
What makes
Bring
it
a
more
little
gooder?
Happiness.
More gooder.
A little more good. A little more gooder
Like
in
that.
your life. All right? What is it for you? Jacob, what should they ask themselves?
Trying to think how to word this.
Yeah. It's pretty specific.
What
Yeah.
what's the processing method
Well, yeah.
in your
right.
coffee?
Okay. That's
Oh,
good.
okay.
That's good.
Well, that's a good one.
That's a
But
good one.
What do
That's a
we
good one.
usually use?
I see what you're using. I see what you're doing.
Yeah. What's
your
what's the Yeah.
B word? There's a B
I'm trying
word.
what's
He's
the
figuring. He's
what's the
searching
brew
around.
in your cup? What's the
Ooh, that's nice.
Oh,
That's
hey,
nice, too.
hey,
That's
hey.
good. That's nice.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
Brew-
It's
Brewing is
the best part of
brewing is
waking
my
up.
podcast,
The best
too.
part of waking up.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yo, what's your bacon?
What's your bacon?
Jacob.
Yeah,
He was a good dude.
he's a good
It's a
dude.
lot of fun.
He was a lot of fun.
A lot of fun to hang out with. Super nice.
Like,
Learned a lot about coffee.
I learned a lot about coffee, and I feel like he's one of those dudes that, like, oh man, I could start talking to this guy at like 8:00 at night, and I could realize then that it's 5 a.m.
Yes.
and be like, dude, I gotta go, and he could be like, dude, I gotta go.
Yep.
And we'd be like, all right, well, we'll go, and then it'll be 7:00 and we'll go.
Yes.
Like, I could see
Yes.
that totally happening.
This is
right?
absolutely a long episode, but you know what? Well worth it because it was a good person to talk to.
Yeah,
Like he was
absolutely.
a great dude. I appreciate him for coming onto our fun little platform here.
Yeah.
So let's just get out of here.
Yeah, it's a long episode. So find me at Jimmy G's Shoes on all the socials. Find my band Craving Strange at Craving Strange Net on all the socials. Shave your ball sack with Manscaped, or if you don't want to shave it, that's cool, but make sure you wipe it off. Right?
Yes.
They got stuff even if you don't want to shave it. It's totally cool.
Or
Do your
also,
thing.
they do your face now.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Yeah,
it's a
testicles,
great,
testicles,
it's
cheeks.
a great thing. Definitely go to manscaped.com. 20% off with the promo code BaconPod.
Yeah. During the
Fill
summer,
your belly.
grow your ass off.
Fill your belly.
Go outside, grow your ass off.
Fill your belly with beverages that are delicious.
Yeah,
some
light your-
eats that are delicious. GrowYourAssOff.com and DrinkWildBills.com. Promo code BACON.
Yeah, we're going to find you.
Me personally, I am at me my own self. Mike, my band is at Something Heavy Music. Catch us on all streaming platforms. We've got a new single coming out. It's called Hurt. It's going to happen very, 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 very soon. But also, we have something coming up very, very, very soon.
do.
We
We do.
have. We're going to continue our live stream because our drummer is like, yo, I'm back.
When are we doing this?
We should do this.
Right.
So I'm working out some dates with him.
Okay.
But Bacon is my passion is on all streaming platforms. It's our little music conglomerate.
New music's coming
if you
out.
will.
Yeah.
And we're going to have some new music coming out very, very, very soon.
Check it out. Thank you to the patrons over at patreon.com/baconismypod. If you want early shows, extra stuff. Thank you to everybody that's listening on all streaming platforms. Give us those reviews, whatever it is. If it's
5 stars,
give us
thumbs
stars.
up.
If it's thumbs up, give us thumbs
Honestly,
up.
it costs you $0.
Yeah, seriously.
That's the best way to help us
Yeah,
out.
if you listen to the whole if you're here now, you've listened to the whole thing, the least you could do. Like, honestly, the least is to give us a star or a thumb or something like that, right? It takes no it's so easy. It's so easy.
Thumb.
Thank you. You're awesome. Continue being awesome, and remember to ask yourself every single day, what is it?
What's your bacon?
Yeah. World peace.